When we think of movie visual effects, we often imagine VFX monsters, explosions, or fantastical landscapes. However, some of the most important VFX are the ones you don't even notice. These invisible effects involve subtle enhancements and fixes, from erasing stunt wires to modern artifacts to replacing skies and existing sets, all done so seamlessly, so viewers have no idea something was altered. In fact, filmmakers and VFX artists often say the best visual effects are those that you can't tell they are visual effects. When making VFX movies and TV shows, invisible VFX refers to digital effects used to remove, add, or alter elements in the scene, in a way that the viewer doesn't even notice. Unlike obvious spectacles of superhero battles, fancy creatures, or complicated simulations, invisible effects blend into the background of a normal shot. These can include fixes like painting out wires, swapping out a dull sky for a vivid one, and extending a set beyond what was physically built. So invisible effects are essentially digital touch-ups that enhance reality without announcing their presence. As you can see, they solve practical challenges, like safety rigs, weather tissues, or limited sets, and other things such as continuity errors or preserving the illusion of continuous, authentic worlds in the film. And here's the interesting thing. Many people in the industry, including visual effects, see this invisibility or invisible effects in general as the highest praise of their work. The philosophy is clear across the board. The less viewers notice the effect, the more successful the shot is. There is also a creative reason why seamless VFX are valued, which is mainly to be able to tell stories in different places, timelines, or any historical setting. For example, it can let filmmakers materialize a set in 1920 London without a single TV antenna or a car in sight, or allow an actor to perform a daring stunt safely without harnesses because it was removed in post-production. And this, as you can see, will increase the value of what you see on the screen with full immersion, because it is just more believable. As you can imagine, invisible effects encompass a variety of behind-the-scenes tricks, and here are some common techniques that quietly make movie scenes possible. Safety wires, harnesses, or support rigs are often used during filming or fight scenes, in addition to acrobatics or actors flying shots. In post-production, VFX artists meticulously paint out these wires frame by frame to eliminate visible wires used during filming, preserving the illusion and keeping audiences engaged without any distractions. This wire removal technique allows characters to leap, dangle, or crash through windows realistically, when in reality they were tethered for safety. If done precisely, the audiences never suspect the actor was strapped to a rig unless the movement isn't fluid. For example, superhero films and action franchises rely heavily on wire removal. Think of a Spider-Man swinging or James Bond rolling on a rooftop, filmed with harnesses which are scrubbed out digitally. And without this invisible VFX, stunt work would be either impossible or visibly artificial. Removing these supports in post is crucial to maintain the immersive quality of the action, because to be blunt, even a single glimpse of the wire could shatter the scene's magic. On the other hand, filmmakers cannot always get the perfect sky or weather in general during shooting, especially when scenes are filmed on different days, but at the end they need to match. Sky replacement is the solution. VFX artists replace a bland or overcast sky with a more cinematic one, or ensure continuity by making skies look consistent across shots. This is often done so subtly that viewers assume the weather was naturally cooperative. Films use this trick to create an ideal atmosphere. For instance, on Downton Abbey, stunning shots of the countryside needed a near-invisible finishing touch, replacing skies to create sunnier days for the ideal English summer look. Audiences would never guess that the bright blue sky was digitally painted into what was a gray shooting day. Sky replacements also help maintain time of the day continuity, ensuring a sunset sky doesn't suddenly turn midday blue in the next shot, and remove unwanted elements like storm clouds or pollution haze. The key is that the new sky matches lighting and perspective perfectly, so it feels like it was there all along. And here is another interesting thing. To create worlds beyond the physical set, filmmakers use set extensions. But what does that mean? Well, it is a mix of 3D modeling and matte painting that expands the scenery while blending with what was actually filmed. This would mean adding extra buildings to a city skyline, extending a ground into a stadium, or constructing an entire fantasy background around a small set piece. And crucially, these extensions are designed to be photorealistic and period accurate, so that they look like real parts of the environment. HBO's Boardwalk Empire is a textbook example. Much of the 1920s Atlantic City was digitally built on top of the short boardwalk set. For its second season, the production once again embraced invisible visual effects to recreate the show's Atlantic City setting. During Prohibition, VFX artists extended the wooden boardwalk, added piers and ocean waves, and recreated period storefronts and skylines in 3D, all integrated so well that viewers felt they were looking at a real location. Similarly, in David Fincher's Zodiac in 2007, nearly the entire San Francisco city of 1969 was subtly added via digital matte painting, in addition to 3D buildings, because modern San Francisco couldn't pass for the past. The viewers had no idea, and the city simply felt authentic to the era. From historic places to distant planets, as you can see, set extensions allow filmmakers to show vast and detailed settings without building everything physically. And when it is done right, the audiences never realize where the real set ends and where the digital begins. And I have to mention, a large part of the invisible VFX is essentially digital cleaning, removing or hiding anything that shouldn't be there in the final frame. This actually encompasses a lot of subtle tasks, which are actually fun to know about. I mean, that is until it becomes your job. For example, painting out crew reflections in windows, removing a boom mic shadow, or covering a stunt pad on the floor, or erasing modern items in a historical scene. In period pieces especially, VFX artists spend countless hours removing modern elements to avoid anachronisms, power lines, road signs, parked cars, satellite dishes, and so on, all obvious indicators of the 21st century. And these must disappear when shooting a story set decades or centuries ago. We had to take out every modern touch, car parks, signage, even lights that were not appropriate for the setting, and replace them with foliage or carefully paint them out, said Downton Abbey VFX supervisor Pare Laguano about their meticulous cleanup work. But for the audience, the resulting imagery simply looks like untouched 1927 England. Even contemporary films require cleanups. For instance, the thriller Sicario in 2015 featured grisly shots of bodies hanging from an overpass, which were actually added digitally later, and scenes shot on the soundstage with blue screen where windows or doorways filled with photorealistic surroundings. When you see that, you might assume it was all real footage, because compositing was flawless. Sometimes VFX artists must fix unexpected goofs. A now famous example being the rogue Starbucks coffee cup that accidentally appeared in an episode of Game of Thrones. HBO quietly had it painted out when it was aired back then, literally erasing the mistake from the show's medieval world. These kinds of cleanup tasks are the backbone of VFX work. When well done, they erase distractions and errors from the frame, so nothing pulls the viewer out of the story. In addition to removing unwanted objects, invisible effects often address continuity issues between shots. If a prop was moved or an extra's position doesn't match between takes, digital artists can subtly adjust it. They might also blend shots together via split screens or stitching to create the illusion of one seamless take. For example, in the Downton Abbey film's final dinner scene, different actors' best performances from separate takes were sliced together to make it look like one shot, with multiple people around the table. Such edits are imperceptible, but ensure the scene flows perfectly. Another continuity trick is adjusting backgrounds so that the lighting and details remain consistent when the scenes are shot at different times. This can involve solving continuity issues between shots filmed at different times, replacing the sky so it matches between shots from different days, or making sure the background looks consistent. All these tweaks uphold the illusion of real time and space, preventing the audience from catching any jarring differences. As you can imagine, each of these techniques relies on a blend of artistry and technical precision, because to be frank, it is not as easy as it seems. The VFX team must replicate reality, sometimes by painting in tiny details and sometimes by removing them, with such a skill that the final image looks like raw photography. To pull this off, they match camera angles and lenses, lighting and shadows, film grain and focus, so the digital alterations inherit all the natural imperfections of real footage. In a sense, invisible VFX artists are like digital surgeons, seamlessly stitching images together and healing any visual wounds, then adding a touch of grain or lens flare so that the scars never show. To be honest, this is painstaking work. It might look exciting, but over time, if you do it for many years, it kind of becomes boring and tedious. That's why it is often outsourced to India or other places, because it is really tedious, time-consuming, and sometimes boring. But without it, movies can never look the same. And there you have it, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to this channel to receive more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.